Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Why do you think he's guilty? When did you make up your mind?
So I listened very carefully to all the arguments, but if you describe insurrection as I did, as an attempt to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, we can see the president for 2 months after the election promoting that the election was stolen. People still tell me they think Dominion rigged those machines with Hugo Chavez from Venezuela. That is not true, and all the news organizations that promoted that have retracted. He then scheduled the rally for January the 6th, just when the transfer of power was to take place. And he brought together a crowd, but a portion of that was transformed into a mob. And when they went into the Capitol, it was clear that he wished that lawmakers be intimidated. And even after he knew there was violence taking place, he continued to basically sanction the mob being there. And not until later did he actually ask them to leave. All of that points to a motive and a method, and that is wrong. He should be held accountable.
Bill Hader, everybody. Bill Hader. No, it's Senator Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican from Louisiana, of all places. He is the only person that really had to show courage because he, you know, some of the, Toomey, he's not running again. What's his name from North Carolina? Richard Burr, he's not running again. So those were some of the Republicans that voted guilty. Bill Cassidy, who looks just like a Bill Hader. Seriously, if Saturday Night Live doesn't pick up on that, they're making a huge mistake. He obviously had to summon some courage in order to vote the way he did, which was guilty, because the president is guilty, and not hang his hat on some sort of a technicality that Mitch McConnell caused. It's really sick. I mean, they challenged the jurisdiction because Mitch McConnell caused that.
The issue in our case with Republican senators was not a lack of witnesses.
No.
It was a lack of, it was a lack of courage. They were looking for a loophole, an off-ramp, and they were using the jurisdictional issue.
Yeah.
And when you look at the statements from the 43 who voted not guilty, they're not saying, well, the Democrats should have brought more witnesses. They're saying no matter what, we found this proceeding to be illegitimate. And so we weren't going to, go for months in the courts, chasing subpoenas and witnesses if they're never going to come around to it anyway.
And all of that was caused by Mitch McConnell's decision not to receive the articles when the articles were voted on and transmitted to the Senate, to keep the Senate adjourned in recess and not to reconvene the Senate until after Donald Trump left. So that in the face of this mass attack on the Capitol of the United States of America, with the representatives and the senators inside on the day that they were certifying the results of the election, 5 people would be killed. God knows, hundreds of police officers would be maimed, mangled, and mutilated. Some of them, one of them lost an eye. One lost 3 fingers. Others of them were crushed, okay? One guy had a heart attack in the middle of it. Yeah, we saw all that, but we're a no because of the jurisdictional issue that Mitch McConnell caused. What a bunch of lily-livered cowards. What a bunch of scum. Sorry. Not worthy of the office they hold. Just not. There is nothing about Ted Cruz or Rand Paul or Lindsey Graham that I respect? Nothing. Robin Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, hi, Randy. Hey, I think the Republican Party has just glued in. They're showing us exactly who they are. They're an organized crime party. And if you just look at them, it's like you would look at MS-13 members or any other organized crime, it makes a lot of sense because as soon as a member turns, they turn on that member. No different in organized crime. They take it very seriously. They know they broke the law, so they've got nothing to lose by just keeping the lie going and threatening everyone. And really, that's what they're doing. I mean, when Ted Cruz was up there saying, well, they let the violence go on at these peaceful protests, well, the same people who were at the Capitol were at these protests. And they're the ones breaking windows and setting fires as well.
Yeah, they were.
There are people that take it. Yeah. And so let them disprove that because, just say, no, they were there. There's actually proof of those people that were there. That one guy with the AutoZone.
Yeah, Umbrella Man. Umbrella Man and the two white girls that burned down the Burger King or the burger place next to the gas station in Atlanta. Yeah, they were infiltrators, and they infiltrated just to make Black Lives Matter look violent, and they weren't.
Yep.
Same thing in Utah, that Sullivan dude that they said, oh, the first one that was arrested was Antifa. No, that was that Utah dude, Sullivan, who was infiltrating Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter actually said, hey, get away from us because we have nothing to do with you. We have been protesting for years now with zero incidences of violence until you came along. You are not one of us. Get the hell out.
Right, and the radical right knows that, and that's why they're saying, yeah, we know this is a bad look, so we need to go cause trouble.
Right.
Hey, the other thing, too, is when here's a defense on when they say, well, nobody wants you guys aren't being united. You're not uniting in your country. We're not uniting America with the Republican Party. The Republican Party has put themselves out on a limb. We owe them nothing. We are uniting the American people, some of which might happen to be Republican. So this isn't about uniting America with the Republican Party. They've created their own mess. Like I said, they're a crime organization. So
yeah,
why
I don't know
unite
how.
with a crime organization?
I don't know how you're supposed to unite with insurrectionists. I don't know what common ground you can find with people that want to overthrow your government. I'm not sure that that's who I want to unify with. In fact, I'm really sure that's not. Okay, I'm really sure that's not who I want to unify with. I'm really sure Biden didn't want to unify with them either. I think what he had in mind was, listening to the American people who were speaking with one voice, who were saying things like, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need health care. Hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need a stimulus package. Hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We need vaccines, and we need some sort of a system to get them to us. I think that's who he was talking about unifying with, not insurrectionists, not lying sacks of crap like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul that refused to wear a mask, by the way. Rand Paul's still walking around the Senate like, hey, eat my germs. I don't give a damn about you or anybody else. Just disgusting. Dan in California.
Hi, Randy.
Hey, Dan.
First of all, I got to say, I am just excited about meeting the Howard.
Oh, yeah, he's answering the phone today.
I've heard so much about him, and I actually got to talk to him. So there's 3 points that I wrote down that I want to make. I listened to that call with the Georgia officials, and you could just hear him. He was working up to the ask, working up to it. He was, trying to insinuate what he wanted until finally he realized he's just going to have to come out and say it.
And the reason why they made him come out and say it is because they were recording him because they knew why he was calling them.
Right.
And they wanted the evidence because the man was inciting violence in Georgia. Remember Gabe Sterling, the Republican who was in charge, the executive in charge of executing the election? He was like, this has to stop. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's going to get hurt. You have to stop. They're threatening the election workers. They're threatening the people in the counting rooms. They're threatening guys who are uploading the proper data. This has to stop. And he wouldn't stop.
That should have been the closing argument. That should have been the closing argument to the Senate trial.
It doesn't matter. They could have argued anything. They brought that up. It doesn't matter what they argued. The Republican Party, the 43, were absolutely sure going in the middle of it, coming out, that they were voting no, and that they would say, yeah, what happened was terrible, but, you know, it's jurisdictional. And they lied. They lied to themselves. They lied to their constituents. Mitch McConnell showed you who he is. He's a deceitful, lying coward. That's who he is. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.